We're now joined by HuffPost senior White House correspondent Shirish Date. Shirish, you've been gaming out different things President Trump could do if he stays behind in the polls and gets, well, really more desperate between now and Election Day. How could that play out in the weeks ahead or even tonight in the debate?
Well, the president likes to attack. He likes to say whatever he thinks is going to get him ahead in that moment. I've been to several of his rallies, over the summer and spring. Even when he wasn't having that many, there were now they've become these airport things, and they're an amazing thing to be in because there is no relationship to reality whatsoever while he's up there talking. And the thing is, those only reach a certain number of people, the people who actually come out to them, who of course are going to vote for him, and those in the immediate media market where the news TV stations are covering them. I don't know how much that gets out to the world at large. He is in a bind here because he spent the last 6 months painting Joe Biden as senile, as having dementia, unable to do basic tasks, hiding in his basement, et cetera. Now, all Vice President Biden has to do is come out and put a few words together in a sentence, and he undoes a lot of that right away. I'm reminded of that debate back in 1980 when Jimmy Carter had spent months saying Ronald Reagan is dangerous, he's a nut, he could get us into a nuclear war. And then Reagan got up there. They only had one debate. He got up there and seemed pretty reasonable. And that was that. People who were kind of worried about Reagan, maybe he's not ready for this job, it broke heavily in his favor, and he won in a landslide. We could see a similar thing happen in the coming weeks.
Hey, Shirish. So can you talk a little bit about what the Trump campaign is doing today in advance of the debate? I've seen some things about how they're floating that Biden wants to wear an earpiece so he can take direction from his aides, about how he might be on performance-enhancing drugs. Can you talk a little bit about what the Trump campaign is doing?
Well, it's important to remember there's the Trump campaign and then there's Donald Trump. And sometimes he forces the campaign to do the stuff that he thinks is a genius idea at that moment. One of those is accusing Biden of being on drugs. Okay, I mean, that came from Donald Trump. And I don't think that the Trump campaign has pushed that very heavily. They did say, well, how come he doesn't answer the question? I don't really understand the point of throwing this mud on the wall, hours before the first debate. I mean, normal human beings aren't watching the news all day. They're not watching cable TV all day. They're certainly not on Twitter all day. And those who are clearly, and maybe the only ones in America who haven't made up their minds, maybe tuning in for the very first time tonight at 9 o'clock. So, yeah, the Trump campaign has been saying a bunch of silly stuff, and I don't know to what end other than to pass the day or make their boss happy, because I don't see how it possibly helps them.
Hey, Shirish, just following up on that, and then I have another quick question. One of the things that I've seen some Trump campaign people saying is there are going to be mystery guests at the debate. And some people will remember 4 years ago at one of the Hillary Clinton Trump debates, they brought in some of the women who Bill Clinton had sexually harassed to try to get inside Hillary's head. That was after the Hollywood Access tape. Have you heard anything at all about anything like that the Trump campaign might do?
I have not, honestly. And again, I'm not sure what giant effect having those women at that second debate had. The bigger issue, of course, was the Access Hollywood tape and Donald Trump in his own voice saying that, yeah, his celebrity allowed him to do all kinds of things, including grabbing women by the genitals. So maybe they might have some grand scheme to do something like that. I don't know if it would work. And one thing that's different is we don't have Steve Bannon on this campaign. He's got his own issues to worry about right now. So we don't have the number one
provocateur.
Yeah, right.
And I think that might have actually been his idea. Actually,
oh, absolutely, it was his idea. Yeah.
A very quick follow up, just kind of on the basic blocking and tackling of campaigns. One thing that I have not heard a lot of talk about is turnout in this election, except that everyone says it's going to be massive.
Right.
Donald Trump drove a ton of turnout, last time around, particularly in, working class areas in Pennsylvania and in the upper North Midwest states. Do you think that his turnout machine and his ability to drive turnout is going to make this, in the end, a closer election than it looks right now, especially since we're in a pandemic and we know that the Biden campaign has not been doing nearly as much on the ground organizing?
Right. Well, last time around, it was the Clinton campaign that had the much bigger and better traditional turnout machine. They're the ones who'd gone to the doors. They're the ones who'd mailed pieces. They're the ones who had the volunteers with the, with the iPads, with the what are your interests, and let's give you this personalized message. And it was a Trump campaign. That was a disaster. I mean, they were relying on the RNC. They had nothing of their own. And still, they got an organic turnout on Election Day. I was watching a particular county in Central Florida with that in mind, and they blew the doors off of the expected number they were going to get. It wasn't because they were out turning people out. That just happened. So I don't know if the Trump campaign's big advantage this time around in having the traditional ground game, so to speak, is gonna matter. It didn't help Hillary Clinton as much as it might have last time. So we'll see. I mean, people understand that there's a pandemic, that it's not necessarily safe to go out and hang around with other people. They don't really want a bunch of strangers knocking on their door. So I'm not sure that the normal rules apply on that.
Yeah, and of course the candidates are preparing and have been preparing for days and days. Let's listen to President Trump talk a little bit about debate prep.
But we had a little debate prep before we came here. I think this whole thing, though, is debate prep. What I do is debate prep every day. I'm taking questions from you people all the time. I mean, I've taken a lot of questions from you over the last number of years, and he doesn't.
Yeah, that's right. I guess that's one way to look at it.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.